Every now and then you see that movie that reminds you why you love movies, why you love storytelling, and why you do it. And then you have movies that just make you want to go home and play Cyberpunk. And that's what Crime 101 is to me, unfortunately. With Crime 101, it's a new crime thriller that just come out with starring Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Halle Berry, and also Barry Keoghan. And you have these essentially several characters all coming together and paralleling each other in this world of crime and intrigue that almost reminded me of Heat at times and other movies like that are about escalating tension between different organizations. And for the first startup of this movie, admittedly, I was very into it. Like, I really dug the opening, I dug the tone it was setting up. This sense of winding tension that you didn't really know when it was going to snap, but you knew it was going to snap at some point from somewhere. I thought this movie did a great job at least starting that escalation and really getting that going. And then you have characters like Mark Ruffalo and Chris Hemsworth. You start seeing them living out their lives and their relationships and how they parallel each other. And you start to get a setup for what seems to be an intense ride of two people pursuing each other, one being a diamond thief and one being the investigator trying to find them. Chris Hemsworth being the robber, Mark Ruffalo being the investigator trying to locate him, hunt him down, and he's insistent on finding this guy because he's just convinced that he is the one that's leaving the breadcrumb trail of a bunch of robberies happening. And that's really where the movie begins, but fuck, I can't lie if I wasn't bored. This was just one of those movies where like it was going about halfway through and I was like, I'm trying to be interested. I want the story to pick up. And I just never got there. And that was because I think there's just so much iron in this fire that none of it really gets time to shine. Like, you get so many points in this movie where there are other characters that meet each other, other characters that are bonding. And at a point, it just kind of feels a little forced. There's really interesting intrigue in the main plot line going on between these characters trying to pursue each other. And at a point, Chris Hemsworth makes a decision to bond with another character that takes up most of the rest of the story. And it kind of becomes a romance movie. And I just didn't think that fit tonally with what was going on in this film. I didn't buy this character would bond with someone else in the midst of what was going on. And that's what really threw me off of this movie. You had a great opening act that was setting up the tension and the intrigue that was going on. Chris Hemsworth's clearly on the run, clearly paranoid, clearly needing to kind of stay clear because of the criminal activity he's doing. And maybe that's a way to highlight his character flaw, that he bonds with somebody during that. But I just didn't buy his character would do that. And then as the movie progressed, I didn't find their relationship all that compelling or all that romantic or really needing to do with anything with the story. And that was really my problem with this movie, is like, I think this movie wanted to kind of highlight the more human aspects of the characters, like Mark Ruffalo's character and his marriage issues going on and his relationship problems. They parallel Chris Hemsworth and his issues going on with the person he's with. And that's fascinating. But I was really into the diamond heist that we were covering before the movie, got going. And that was really where this movie, I think, kind of shot itself in the foot. There's so many plot lines, some of them romantic, some of them being crime thriller, some of it being kind of all tonally conflicting with each other, though. Like, it never feels like it fully coalesced and comes together. And I thought at first that a good point of tension was Barry Keoghan's character. I thought he was doing a great job, at least with what he was given. But then at a point, just kind of, I started asking why. Like, why is he this unhinged? Why is he this crazy? Is it just to give off an unhinged performance? But story-wise, it added nothing to the narrative. And by the time you wrap up the stuff with this character, it didn't feel like it added much to anything in the story overall. I was just kind of like rolling my eyes by the end because of that. He comes in as this almost force of nature at one point, hunting down the other characters, and he is menacing. And it feels like the movie kind of just forgets about him because we're dealing with romance subplots and Mark Ruffalo's divorce. Or Halle Berry's character, who I felt kind of got wayside to the side. Like, I didn't feel like her character added much to the story, and I wish Halle Berry got more to do because she is good in this role. But it kind of feels like she just gets relegated to romantic interest for Mark Ruffalo. And I don't mind romance or heartfelt stuff like that in a movie like this. I just feel like it needs to add to something. It needs to bring us more layers to the characters. I found this romance and the relationships in this movie that develop, that distract from the main chase and point at hand of the tension, it felt like it all conflicted with each other. I never felt like the romance was adding to the characters. If anything, it was making them less interesting because I was more interested in what the main point of catching Chris Hemsworth, the rivalry between him and Mark Ruffalo. That was where the interesting part of this movie was for me, less so the romantic connection and other stuff that could have totally worked in one angle, and I totally see the intent behind it. I just never felt like this movie chose an angle to focus on enough to make me care. Halle Berry and Mark Ruffalo were my favorite performances of the movie. Barry Cohagen's fine, but at a point again, I just kind of started rolling my eyes because I didn't feel the point of his unhinged nature. Chris Hemsworth is just fine and serviceable in the movie. He does exactly what he needs to do. I just don't feel like he got much to do in terms of, I guess, emotionality or bringing anything more interesting to the character. I will say this movie does have some solid action and a great soundtrack. I think it sounds amazing. The sound design was really striking. I thought the visual aesthetic was really nice. Cinematically, this movie looks beautiful. I love all the city nightlife look to it. I love all the atmospheric building moments in the first act that kind of made this movie feel a little bit noir-esque, almost night neo-noir that I really enjoyed. Like that aspect and that angle of the movie, I was really having fun with kicking my feet back with it. You can totally see Crime 101 as this nice love letter to the great crime thrillers of other previous years, but I never felt like it measured up or did anything as unique or as interesting as stuff that came before, like Heat or Collateral, for example, that I feel like this movie's pulling tone from. And I like that it's a love letter aspect, but I feel like I've just seen a lot of the elements in this crime movie and other crime movies done a lot more smoothly and a lot more interestingly, in my opinion. The last thing you want to be in a movie is bored, and I admittedly was very bored for most of this movie. Guys, what did you think of Crime 101? Did you enjoy it more than I? Did you like it in general? What's your favorite crime thriller overall? Do you think this movie works? What's your favorite Chris Hemsworth performance? I don't know, I'm just throwing questions at you today, but thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. Hope you enjoy this movie. Go see it, go check it out if you'd like. See you next time.